Hello. So today is August 5th and it is 4:39 p.m. right now. Right now, I have to talk about a few things, mainly the Ibrahim the Greedy Framer spokesperson's envious mother. But before I get into Ibrahim the Greedy Framer spokesperson's envious mother, there are certain things that I have to talk about him about. Mainly just the fact that he has been begging me almost every single day in the past 2 months to help him scam other people's vulnerable daughters, despite knowing for a fact that Ibrahim the Greedy Framer, the spokesperson, is in fact a crystal meth addict. And he goes and buys crystal methamphetamine from a drug dealer almost every other day, overdoses at least once a week, ends up in the emergency room. And yeah, obviously they might try to get revenge on me by trying to make me look like a drug addict, but some facts have to be considered while I was watched 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child. The first fact is I have never once, not one time in my entire life, have I ever bought street drugs ever for any time in my entire life. There is not one instance of me ever in my entire life going over and buying street drugs from anyone ever in my life, okay? That's point number one. So point number two is the fact that even if they could find a conversation of me joking around about doing drugs, it would only be about one conversation my entire life. A drug addict is not just going to have one conversation joking around with someone about doing drugs in his entire life, while after he's been watched 24/7 since he was an 11-year-old child. It was going to take more than one conversation about joking around about doing drugs for someone to be considered a drug addict who would be dependent on it completely. Not just one conversation his entire life since being an 11-year-old child joking around about doing drugs. Okay, the third point has to be made that although I did take medications in the form of hyperactivity disorder drug medications, hyperactivity disorder medications, the fact of the matter is, as soon as I aged out of it, I went and I told my doctor myself that I have aged out of this medication. I no longer need it. And so you can go ahead and put in your computer system that I do not need it anymore. By doing so, I made it impossible for me to have ever been able to get that medication ever again. Why did I do this? Because there wasn't 1% of me in my mind saying that I would ever need to take this medication ever again, due to the fact that I had aged out of it. And I put it in the computer system myself by telling my doctor to put it in the computer system, so I cannot ever throughout my entire life ever get that medication ever again. No matter if I want to do it or if my doctor wants to do it, it's not possible, since I've already put it in the computer system that it causes dependency and that I have aged out of the hyperactivity disorder medication. The other facts that have to be considered is the fact that drug addicts would overdose on drugs at least once a week. And then end up in the emergency room at least once a week. There is no record of me ever overdosing on any drugs or medications or anything of that sort of nature, ending up in the emergency room for anything at all. It clearly showing from facts and evidences that this is clearly something that they are trying to fabricate against me. The facts and evidences have to be looked at from when I was watching, since I was an 11-year-old child till now. Never have I ever once bought street drugs. The hyperactivity medication that I was given, as soon as I aged out of it, I told my medical doctor to put in this computer system that it causes dependency, to not ever give it to me ever again, and I cannot ever get it back, even if I wanted to. Clearly showing that there was not 1% of me in my mind wanting to take that drug ever again. Not something that a drug addict would ever do. The other thing is, I've never once bought street drugs my entire life, and the other thing is just the fact that for the past 10 years of my life, there isn't one instance of me taking any control medications. So there are 5 control medications. Number one are illegal street drugs like crystal methamphetamine, which obviously I've never even thought of anything like that. But even a number 5 drug is Robitussin syrup that's sold over the counter. I haven't had a Robitussin syrup in the past 10 years. That's in the past decade of my life, haven't even had a Robitussin syrup. That's incomparable to the crystal methamphetamine that Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer spokesperson, takes every single day and overdoses on it at least once a week, despite me never overdosing on any drugs ever in my life. No record of me ever ending up in the emergency room overdosing on any drugs ever in my life, since being watched 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child, whereas Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer spokesperson, overdoses on crystal methamphetamine and ends up in the emergency room at least once a week. So this notion of trying to fabricate a false testimony against me, like we know Ibrahim's envious mother is an expert at doing from November 20th, where she created mass panic and chaos in the news media, is not possible in this subject, in this respect, since the facts and evidences clearly show, since I was watched 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child, that this has never happened, and never could. So basically, I've even given an account of the medication that I used to take, even that, but in the past 10 years of my life, at least, I haven't even had a Robitussin syrup, which is an over-the-counter syrup that's a Schedule 5 medication. Haven't even had that. So that is not a notion that is to be entertained with facts and evidences being looked at in a court of law. But there are certain things that I have to let Ibrahim's envious mother know about. Just the fact that Ibrahim has been begging me on a daily basis every single day in the month of June 2026 and July 2026 for trying to force me to help him scam other people's vulnerable daughters, mainly people that found out about my Brain Savant being the most rare and profitable in the world from court chatter of artificial intelligence experts telling it to honorable judges of this court and trial. So basically what ended up happening was Ibrahim got the news that these girls are going to know about it, and they're going to find out about it, and that these girls, he wanted me to help scam these girls by going over and sleeping with them, telling them that I was the guy that the court chatter was about, being the only triple brain savant in the world right now with the highest probability of becoming extremely rich. I am Rain Man, Kim Peek Rain Man for this era of ours. I'm the new Rain Man, no doubt about it. Artificial intelligence overanalyzed June 24th, 2026, and told everyone that. We know this for a fact because Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer, got greedy, and he was asking me to basically marry his sister on July 18 as a Ponzi scheme. And I'm going to give you other examples of how it was done in a short while, how I was asked to sign this prenup marriage blackmail Ponzi scheme in a short while. So basically, this is July 30th. I'm not going to go back the entire month of June and July. Okay, this is today's August 5th, so this is only about less than a week ago. So this is July 30th at 2:58 p.m. He's asking me to go scam other people's vulnerable daughters. Then this is July 30th. This is 2:59 p.m. He's asking me in an ad that's been marked as meaning him, go scam other people's vulnerable daughters. Now, the other thing is, in the month of July, Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer, was caught with another lie. He was trying to make his envious mother, really taught her son how to make lies, since we all saw her with the government informant on November 20th, her expertise in fabricating false testimonies and lies. So this basically right over here is July 31st, 10:02 p.m., and he's asking me for $22.5 million, clearly showing from facts and evidences that he's been caught making the lie. And so, like his envious mother, he likes to ask for blackmail price tags of money for his drug addiction problem, just like that. And then once again on August 1st, 3:31 p.m., he does the exact same thing. Like his envious mother, he also likes to blackmail for price tags of millions of dollars. Over here, it is $22.5 million, even though it is a known fact that this is what these price tags, blackmails, basically mean. So then we have August 1st, 5:54 p.m., and it is literally the same exact thing on August 1st. You have 5:54 p.m. You have the same advertisement that Ibrahim, the Greedy Framer, uses to ask me to help him scam other people's vulnerable daughters. Okay. And then you also have, then once again, August 3rd, he's blackmailing me with price tags of $22.5 million, even though it is marked as such. Now, the thing about Ibrahim's Greedy Framer mother that I have to talk about is just the fact that right now, recently, June 24th, 2026, was overanalyzed. And so Ibrahim asked me to marry his sister as a Ponzi scheme where he would basically get me to sign a prenup marriage agreement. And then what would happen is they would literally get me to sign that agreement and then harass me for the rest of my life in court for me to, after I would refuse to marry his sister or run away from her after the trial would be done. Obviously, this ugly sister of his who's too young for me and I have no intention of wanting to marry her, it should not be advertised to me while they're trying to argue in court that I'm a bad person whose brain savant should get locked up only due to extreme greed for that bad person basically to marry his sister and give him the money that artificial intelligence has basically marked as the most rare and profitable in the world, making me the human being on this planet with the highest probability chance of becoming extremely rich. We know this for a fact, and so what ended up happening was Ibrahim's envious mother before November 20th confessed to the government informant. As the first confession she made, the government informant obviously asked her, do you have anything against Hassan? And Ibrahim's envious mother told the government informant as the first thing she said that I do not have anything against Hassan except for lies. She told the government informant as the very first thing she said that she said, I do not have anything against Hassan except for lies. Let me repeat that statement one more time so the courts can hear it much better. Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother told the government informant before November 20th, 2025, that she had absolutely nothing against me except for lies, which is why she was fabricating November 20th against me. So that point has to be made clear before we proceed. She also told the government informant that the reason she was doing all of this and fabricating these lies against me was due to extreme envy of the fact that I was the one who was born with a brain savant that evolved over time, and that she wanted it locked up at any circumstances to make sure that I could not use it, since she knew that she would not be able to profit off of it. It's extremely rare and profitable. Brain savant give artificial intelligence, after reanalyzing June 24th, 2026 from only 2 months ago, has marked me as the human being with the highest probability chance of becoming extremely rich out of any other human being on this planet right now. There's no other human being with the same triple brain savant that I have with increasing powers over time, which is why I am the new Kim Peek Rain Man, which is why after analyzing June 24th, they were trying to find pictures of me where my mouth, my lips were not as wide and not as fat, just to try to make me look different from Kim Peek Rain Man, so that they could say that his autistic features that resemble Kim Peek Rain Man are not there, when in fact I am the new Kim Peek Rain Man. And artificial intelligence said that after June 24th was overanalyzed from only 2 months ago. So finding a picture of me where my mouth is not as wide is not going to make any difference. It's not going to make artificial intelligence take its words back. Once it spit out its words, it spit out its words. Artificial intelligence has said, I am the new Kim Peek Rain Man. Anyways, so basically, Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother basically what ended up happening was she told the government informant before November 20th that the only reason she was fabricating all these false testimonies and lies against me was due to extreme envy of me having a triple brain savant, due to which she was doing this. And now, as soon as she finds out that there was a government informant and whom it was, and that she'd already confessed to her extreme envy, she went into extreme greed. And at that exact moment, she starts advertising her daughter to me, due to my brain savant potential that she obviously knew about. So this is basically March 9th at 11:44 a.m. March 9th, 2026 at 11:44 a.m. This is a picture of someone resembling her daughter in the most extreme way possible, sent to me this very year. If you look at the picture of this girl in this picture, you can actually tell that Ibrahim's envious mother spent a lot of time trying to find someone that she could find who would resemble her daughter as much as possible, while looking as much like her as possible, as well as looking actually better than her. This girl looks a lot better than her daughter, by the way. You can tell by looking at this ad that Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother on March 9th spent a lot of time trying to look for a girl that who resembled her daughter as much as possible and looked even better than her daughter. This girl looks a lot better than her daughter, and she spent a lot of time, due to her extreme envy, of being able to find a girl who would resemble her daughter as much as possible. She went through all the pictures, she looked through all the girls, she found the girl that resembled her daughter as much as possible on March 9th, 2026, and then she sent me the one picture of the one girl whom she thought resembled her daughter as much as possible, to me on March 9th, 2026. Three times on that day, this picture of this girl was sent to me three times on the day of March 9th, 2026. She went around, she tried to find the girl who resembled her daughter as much as possible. She went through all the pictures of all the girls, looked for the one girl who resembled her daughter as much as possible, and then she sent me a picture of that girl three times on March 9th, 2026, clearly showing from facts and evidences she meant business and she wanted this Ponzi scheme signed at any cost, only out of extreme greed, due to the fact that she realized who the government informant was. She had already confessed to the government informant. She had nothing but lies against me, which meant that making any more lies after November 20th was fully caught, with a government informant witnessing her fabricate the entire false testimony, and with early January lies being completely found out as being complete and total fabrications that she had fabricated, and told the government informant that these were pre-planned lies that she made against me, even before November 20th, and asked the government informant for help on these lies as well that she wanted to use against me, even after November 20th, 2025, which now, as soon as she finds out who the government informant was, she is in a state of panic. She's not only confessed that she's fabricating a false testimony against me, but she's also told that government informant that she's only fabricating these false testimonies against me due to extreme envy against me, and that she's only fabricating these false testimonies due to extreme envy against me, and that and so now, when she found out who the government informant was, found out exactly why the courts told her on February 10th that they know very well that these are all lies, she had absolutely no other option but to try to go for greed instead of envy. Instead of locking up the brain savant that she knew she couldn't get, she tried to go for it. You can tell from the picture that is showing over here of her daughter that she went through a lot of pictures to try to find the one picture that would resemble her daughter the most. She wanted to find the one picture that would resemble her daughter the most to try to advertise her daughter to me as much as possible on the day of March 9th, 2026, to be able to find out what the chances of me marrying her daughter as a Ponzi scheme would be, since I would not be interested in her ugly looking daughter, who looks nothing like that, by the way, and I would not be interested in her daughter. And the weird thing is, these people want me to look like an aggressive individual. No one wants an aggressive individual to marry their daughter. Aggressive people are keen on getting revenge from people that are fabricating lies to give them a life sentence. Aggressive people are not people that you would want your daughter to marry. Drug addicts are not people that you want your daughter to marry. These people want me to look like drug addicts so that other people don't give me their daughters and other girls don't come near me. But people do not want drug addicts to be marrying their daughter. This woman on March 9th went through pictures of different girls to try and find a picture of a girl who would resemble her daughter the most before she sent me a picture of a girl whom she thought resembled her daughter the most. Between March 9th and right now, August 5th, there's not one instance of me ever doing any drugs or doing anything of that sort of nature. So she can't claim that at that time on March 9th, she didn't think of me as being a drug addict, but now on August 5th, she thinks of me as being a drug addict. That statement would not make any sense, since on March 9th and between March 9th and now, there's not one instance of me ever even thinking about doing drugs. And so she cannot claim this when in fact on March 9th, she was going through all these pictures of all these girls to try to find the one girl who would resemble her daughter the most. So that clearly shows from facts and evidence that this woman is only doing this due to extreme greed that has shifted from extreme envy, and the only reason is due to the fact that it's due to the fact that she has realized that that she had already confessed everything to the government informant, and so trying to greedily get me to sign a Ponzi scheme, prenup marriage, blackmail is the only option that she has left. Now, the thing about it is the fact that the thing about it is the fact that this woman right now is trying to claim that I'm a really aggressive individual, when in fact no one wants an aggressive individual who are keen on trying to get revenge to be marrying their daughter like this. And she might be trying to argue that I'm a drug addict, when in fact no one wants a drug addict to be marrying their daughter. This woman, Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother, went through different pictures of girls to try to find a girl who resembled her daughter the most. This is March 9th. She went through all kinds of pictures to try to find a girl that would resemble her daughter the most, and then she found this picture, and then she sent it to me. She cannot claim today on August 5th that she thinks of me as being a drug addict or aggressive individual when she didn't think of me as such on March 9th, since there's nothing that's happened between March 9th and August 5th today that would give her the right to say that I changed my mind between March 9th and today, August 5th, due to this reason or that reason, when in fact at that time I didn't think of him as being a drug addict or aggressive individual. Now I do. The fact of the matter is, she's only saying these things to spread false rumors about me due to extreme envy of me and my brain savant, which she already admitted to the government informant that she had extreme envy of me, due to which she was fabricating these lies against me. And now it's due to extreme envy that she would try to make all these false rumors and testimonies about me being aggressive. And in fact, no one has an aggressive individual marry their daughter. She's would be saying that I'm a drug addict. No one wants a drug addict to be marrying their daughter. Fact of the matter is, there's nothing that happened between March 9th and today, August 5th, that would make me seem as a drug addict or aggressive individual. And so, yeah. Obviously, fact of the matter is, it is a Ponzi scheme. They were doing it as due to greed, extreme greed for money. They wanted that money from the brain savant money that they were told about. It doesn't matter if I'm aggressive or a drug addict or anything. Fact of the matter is, they found out about the brain savant money, and the fact that artificial intelligence has marked me as being the human being with the highest chance of being extremely rich on this planet out of any other human being on this planet. Being autistic is very rare. Being a brain savant is even more rare. Being a triple brain savant with increasing powers over time, as proven on November 14th, 2025, proven on May 10th, 2026, June 24th, 2026, and numerous other brain savant tests. It's extremely rare, and so she wanted that money through a Ponzi scheme and having me sign this prenup marriage blackmail for her. Now, this isn't the only time. So basically, she and her son have been basically asking me to marry her daughter over and over again. So the most recent instance was right now on July 18 on 11:16 a.m. She wanted me to marry her daughter again, advertising her daughter. By the way, this doesn't look anything like her daughter at all, not one bit. The other picture actually did, the one that I just showed you right now, that picture actually did look like, resemble her daughter. This one doesn't. They just did this. They did this all day, July 18, by the way. They did this in a spur of the moment kind of thing. They wanted to do this really, really bad due to extreme greed of what the results of the Brain Savant test were coming out for June 24th, but they wanted to do it in a way so that they could check through a brain scanner what the chances of me benefiting them with this Ponzi scheme would be, while at the same time not me being able to think of this as being evidence when in fact it is evidence. And it's a clear fact that she did ask law enforcement to check again on July 18, only last month, to see the chances of me marrying her ugly looking abnormal daughter again. So basically we know what the motive is. The motive is extreme envy and nothing else for Ibrahim's envious mother. Now, the other thing that we have to look at is the fact that how aggressively she made these lies against me, how aggressively these lies were made. So basically the entire year of 2025, Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother ran over to court trying to aggressively lock up my Brain Savant. After November 1st, my dad, the greedy framer, was rejected by me again. November 1st, 2025, he told all his sisters to go again and make sure that my Brain Savant's locked up. So basically now what Ibrahim's envious mother does is she reveals that she's not just gonna exaggerate and fabricate, she's gonna exaggerate and fabricate a complete and total crime. So in the entire year of 2025, we know for a fact that she was trying to exaggerate and fabricate as much as possible against me. We know this for a fact due to how eagerly she was wanting to exaggerate a false testimony against me as big as it could get as possible. And let me explain the eagerness that this woman had. Before November 20th, 2025, I was about to leave for Russia right before November 10th, 2025, and I told law enforcement exactly how I knew about their previous false testimonies that they made, mainly the wedding crime that they wanted to frame me for in the year 2023. Yeah, so basically what ended up happening was law enforcement went and told her. They were just like, Ehsan knows about our previous false testimonies. You do know that. She said, I don't care. I do not care if he knows about anything that you've done or not done. All your false testimonies, fabrications, I do not care about. She was given another chance, and she was told before November 10th, you're being given another chance. You can think about it. You don't have to make this false testimony against Ehsan. Law enforcement told her that. And law enforcement also said Ehsan is fully aware of our previous false testimonies, which means that this one getting caught has a really high probability chance. You know what Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother said? She said, I don't care. I do not care if you know about his previous false testimonies or not. I will make this false testimony. I am going to make this false testimony. I do not care what what Ehsan does or does not know about. I will make this false testimony, showing the eagerness that this woman has had to enviously lock up my Brain Savant only because she was not able to profit off of it. Clearly showing from facts and evidences this was not something that law enforcement asked her to do. This is something she was eagerly, aggressively pursuing herself to fabricate a false testimony against me, using national security for her own personal agenda and motive of locking up my Brain Savant so that no one could benefit out of the money that she knew that she couldn't get, so that me and my mother could not get that money from my Brain Savant either, which now after June 24th was overanalyzed and she was asking on July 18th for me to marry her daughter again. We know for a fact that this is extreme envy that has changed into extreme greed every single time Brain Savant test is reanalyzed or she's caught lying or a government informant is found out about. But the eagerness that this woman had of using national security for her own personal agenda and motive of locking up my Brain Savant, only to, despite knowing the mass panic and chaos it would cause, despite knowing that it would create a lot of mass panic and chaos, a lot of taxpayer money would have to be spent, government resources would have to be spent, government informants would have to be used, there would be mental effects on people's faces, clearly seen after November 20th, where the news anchors are all in shock on how I could have committed this crime. The governors are all in shock. Their governors, like the governor of Hawaii, Josh Green, is putting aside the vaccine issues at the time, not talking about the vaccine confusion, but the confusion that Ibrahim's envious, greedy mother caused on November 20th. She knew about the mass panic and chaos that this national security risk that she was raising against me would cause. She could not care less. She knew about the previous false testimonies that law enforcement had made against me that I already knew about. She could not care less. She was told before November 20th. Like, look, lady, he knows about our previous false testimonies. You have to understand that the chances of you getting caught are really high. She said, I do not care. I don't care if he knows about the previous false testimonies or not. I will pursue this. I will make a false testimony against him. She was given this chance, and she still told the government informants that she will pursue this. And she told the government informants that she will still go and make this false testimony, clearly showing from facts and evidences that this was not something that law enforcement asked her to do. This was not something that some government informant asked her to do to try to check to see if she was willing or not. This was something that she was eagerly, aggressively pursuing for her own personal agenda and motive of locking up my brain savant, using national security risks and threats for her own personal motive, despite knowing the level of mass panic and chaos it would cause, despite knowing the level of taxpayer dollars that it would take, despite knowing the mental health effect that it would cause on people, clearly seen from people's faces in news after November 20th, 2025. Now, you have to remember, after November 20th, 2025, what ended up happening was Ibrahim's greedy, envious mother now was given another chance. She was told on November 27th, we have to get to the bottom of this. Governor Josh Green on CNN is not speaking of the vaccine confusion on November 27th. He's speaking of the confusion that Ibrahim's envious, greedy mother has caused. We have to get to the bottom of this. This is very serious. So then the government went back to Ibrahim's envious, greedy mother, and they said, look, lady, we want to know the truth. Did Hassan commit this crime or not? Did you witness him commit the crime or did you not? And she said, I witnessed him. I witnessed him. Are you sure you want to think about this? No, I'm not going to think about this. I witnessed Hassan commit this crime. I am not taking this false testimony back. She saw the level of mass panic and chaos in the news media. She saw the amount of all those government officials scrambling to get to the truth of it. She saw the amount of taxpayer money being spent on this. And despite her claiming to the government informant before November 20th that there was nothing that she had against me except for lies, the first thing that she told the government informant was, I have nothing against Hassan except for lies. She said this as the first thing, and yet after November 20th, she sees all this mass panic and chaos in the news media against Hassan, the same person she said she has nothing except for lies, and she confessed that it's only due to extreme envy of my brain savant potential that artificial intelligence has marked. She still refused to take her false testimony back after November 20th. This is the level of aggressive behavior, eagerness to commit fraud, eagerness to use national security risk for your own personal agenda, using taxpayer money, using people's mental health effects for your own personal agenda, and yet this woman is still aggressively not taking her words back. Now, then what she ended up doing was she made more lies against me in December and early January, and while she's making these lies against me, she's at the same time going to court due to the fact that by December 7th, what ended up happening was she messed up on the testimony stand, and she let the people at the testimony stand know that that this was a lie and this was a fabrication. And yet, after December 7th, 2025, she's still going back to court, and she's arguing in court. She's telling them that, no, you're making a mistake. I really did witness Hassan commit the crime. You're making a mistake. I messed up on the testimony stand. stand, but I'm telling the truth right now. I really did witness Hassan commit the crime. I only messed up on the testimony stand, but I did witness Hassan commit the crime. It was a slip up I had at the testimony stand, but I did witness Hassan commit the crime. You have to take my word for it. This is what this woman is saying after she's already been caught by December 7th, 2025. She's been completely caught by this time. It's done. She had a slip up on the testimony stand, due to which everyone knew that she was lying, and yet she was going back to court and she was arguing and saying, no, I really did witness Hassan commit the crime. I had a slip up on the testimony stand, but I witnessed Hassan commit the crime. You have to believe me. While she's arguing this in court, that she really did witness me commit the November 20th, 2025 crime, and that this was a slip up that she had on the testimony stand, due to which she sounded like she fabricated it when in fact she didn't fabricate it. She's making more lies against me to try to enviously make sure that there's no way my brain savant could get freed at all. And then she keeps making those lies, aggressively pushing them forward, very aggressively forward, only for us to find out at the end of the day that she confessed to these being lies to the government informant as well. Basically, what ended up happening is she got a free car mechanic to work on all her car problems. And as soon as that car mechanic shows up, she says, I don't just have one problem on my car. November 20th is not the only lie I want to fabricate. I've got 50 other lies. So obviously the government informant, being a government informant, asks the first question, do you have anything else except for lies? And she says, no. And then he says, look, if you have something real, we want to use that. We can exaggerate something real against Hassan. That's not a problem. We can exaggerate something real against Hassan. We'd rather just exaggerate something real. So if you have something real, you might as well just give us that. The government informant was checking to see if she had anything against me. And she said, no, I don't have anything real. And he said, you want to think about that for a second? Just take the day and think about it. She lets the government informant know that she had absolutely nothing against me whatsoever except for lies. And then after November 20th, it's before November 20th, but she lets the government informant know that after November 20th, I've got more subsequent lies to make against Hassan, despite me confessing, as in her confessing, that she had nothing except for lies against me. And then she gives these other lies that she wants to make against me after November 20th, that she makes after December 7th. She's basically fully caught on the testimony stand as what she called a slip up. And she said, I just slipped up on the testimony stand. I really did witness Hassan commit the November 20th crime. And she keeps repeating this in court over and over again, saying, I witnessed Hassan commit the November 20th crime. You have to believe me. You have to take my testimony on this. I witnessed Hassan commit the November 20th crime. I just had a slip up on the testimony stand. That's all that happened, but I did witness him commit the crime. But except for that November 20th crime, here are more crimes I've got against him. And she gives those remaining lies that she told the government informant that she had planned out for after November 20th. So after December 7th, she's completely caught, okay? She's caught on the testimony stand. Her slip up is basically letting everyone know that she was basically lying. This dangerous woman, there was no government informant there witnessing her fabricate everything, she would have gone back to court. She would have pretended that she would have pretended that she only had a slip up on the testimony stand, and that it was only a slip up on the testimony stand, and she really did witness me commit the November 20th, 2025 crime, and that it was just a slip up on the testimony stand. So the courts have to take that crime against me again, and the subsequent lies that she had pre-planned as well, that she told the government informant before November 20th that these are lies I want you to work on with me as well. And the government informant, being a government informant, obviously asked her, look, lady, if there's anything, I feel weird calling this woman lady. There's nothing ladylike about her. You could tell from looking at her face. The government informant basically told her, hey, look, lady, if you have something real against Hassan. You want to use that, and we can exaggerate that, and not lies and lies and fabrications, because those would be better exaggerated. She told the government informant right there, right then, I have nothing real against him. All I have are lies. You have to take lies from me against him. So yeah, those lies were basically taken. Not only November 20th, but the subsequent early January ones were also pre-planned, and these people kept making these lies over and over again in court until February 10th, 2026, when the courts informed them, look, we know that these are lies. There's no question about it. We know that these are lies, because they had already been confessed to the government informant as being complete and total lies. This woman is not done yet. After this, she's obviously kicked out of that court, and she's told, like, you cannot ever testify against anyone ever again. You caused mass panic and chaos throughout our entire news media. You used our national security for your own personal agenda of locking up someone's brain savant, and as soon as you get caught and found out that there was a government informant, you try to use your ugly-looking daughter to get that same brain savant money that you were claiming didn't exist or was not the motive, only for you to have confessed to this being the envious motive behind why you were enviously trying to lock up Hassan's brain savant. Now this woman says, all right, fine, I'm out, but my son, he's going to take my place, Ibrahim the Greedy Framer. Ibrahim the Greedy Framer comes in, and we find out that he knew about November 20th being fabricated by his envious mother while it was being fabricated. He never reported the thing. And then he pushes forward more lies in early April 2026, only for us to find out that these were absolute lies from the facts and evidences retrieved from the phone conversations as well. Then Ibrahim the Greedy Framer made more lies against me in the month of July. That were caught to be complete and total lies as well. And on July 18, he's advertising his own sister to me for me to be marrying in this Ponzi scheme that he wanted me to sign for him in a prenup marriage scam, blackmail, basically. And to show exactly how much his bad behavior is like, let me show you something. This is basically from July 28th. July 28th, 2026, okay, not that long ago. It says, brother at your side. The reason Ibrahim the Greedy Framer is sending me this is due to his drug addiction, sex addiction problem. He has bad habits. He was rejected by my elementary school teacher, whom he does not even know, on July 10th around 7 p.m., due to which on that same night at 8:45 p.m. on July 10th, he was coming in front of my car cameras to advertise himself in his black Prius with the Florida tag on it, to advertise himself to my elementary school teacher so that he could act like he's my brother at my side, literally on the road while I'm waiting in traffic light, and he's on my side trying to advertise himself for my elementary school teacher, whose son literally had to call the police on him because he was harassing her for sex so much, and he was literally calling and begging her all day and night long. Her son, by the way, is only about 2 years younger than me, so to show you exactly the kind of bad habits Ibrahim the Greedy Framer has. Now, his envious mother might try to claim that that someone said this or someone said that around me, when all her false testimonies and lies have been caught, including one that her son, Ibrahim the Greedy Framer, enviously made against me in the month of July, after it was fully found out that that it was in the month of July, and then later on it was fully found out that even that lie was a complete and total lie that he made against me, due to which he has been sending me these blackmail price tags, which I'll show you right over here. It is $22.5 million, just like how all the blackmail price tags come. And he sent this to me only because he realized that his lie for the month of July had been caught as well. Now, the thing about it is, these blackmail price tags have been coming to me each and every time these people would get caught. So this entire month of March, I was sent $60 million. $60 million that was sent to me at least 8 times, starting February 21st and throughout March. So February and March, they changed their tactics in trying to see if they could get me to marry their daughters or agree to giving them illegal assurance of money before my brain savant would get freed. When they found out that I was not going to, they went back to making lies against me in early April and very aggressively. And then the courts had to retrieve every single phone conversation, only to find out that every single thing they said was a complete and total lie, even in April, only made those lies because they knew that I was not going to give a single penny of these $60 million or marry their daughter, like how she was try to force me to agree to doing in the prenup marriage scam, blackmail basically. And you have to look at how much this girl basically resembles her daughter, almost completely resembles her daughter, or Ibrahim's sister almost completely resembles her, which means that she basically went through a lot of pictures to try to find a picture of a girl that resembled her daughter as much as possible. Now, are the kind of tricks that these people try to use against me, that they try to use on me throughout the month of March. So this basically, it was on March 9th that she sent this to me 3 times on the day of March 9th. A picture of a girl resembling her daughter, clearly showing from facts and evidences that the same person, me, whom she's claiming is either aggressive or a drug addict, she was begging for me to marry her daughter on March 9th without me ever doing anything that would resemble a drug addict or aggressive person between March 9th, 2026 and today. Yet today she will try to claim once again that I'm a drug addict or an aggressive individual. Now, the other thing that we have to know is the fact that her son, Ibrahim, doesn't just have the bad habit of running after my elementary school teacher for begging her to sleep with him for sex, literally over and over again, till her son would be forced to call the police on him, her son is only about 2 years younger than me, by the way. He also has the bad habit of basically buying crystal methamphetamine. This drug, I can guarantee you, is made in South America. It's not made in someone's basement over here. This is very well made. If you're overdosing on a stimulant and not having even high heart rate or anything of that sort of nature, it's definitely made by scientists, and it's made in South America. I'm from this field. Trust me, I know. I can guarantee you that much. And by buying drugs from these cartels, he is basically promoting this violence. Regardless of what these people say about me, that any of law enforcement's BFFs or anyone could have said around me, or any news agency could have said around me, or anyone could have said around me ever in my life, it would not harm a single person. I would not have funneled a single penny into any drug cartel or violent group or terror group or anything of that sort's pockets that would fuel this kind of a violence that her son is fueling every other day by buying drugs from them. Basically, crystal methamphetamine is not marijuana. It's basically made the kind that he takes that causes so much euphoria that he overdoses every single week, once a week, and ends up in the emergency room. It's literally made in South America. It is not made in America. It is definitely made by scientists. It's not made by normal people in their basements. These drugs that he's using to overdose and end up in the emergency room once a week is causing and funneling this kind of violence, no matter what they try to exaggerate against me after all their lies have been caught. Never have I given 1 penny to funnel this kind of a violence against innocent human beings anywhere in the world. This kind of a violence that drug cartels are causing in South America right now, as we speak, that her son right now, as we speak, is committing the major crime of buying this disgusting and illegal on the street substance. Every other day he's buying this, and he's funneling money for this kind of a violence in South America every single day. Okay, her son is responsible for this violence. He's funneling the money every other day for his drug addiction problem, and he's funneling that money so that he could basically get his high from this crystal methamphetamine. And this is the kind of violence that it's promoting, where innocent migrants are not only kicked out of their houses, but that they are basically kicked out of their houses they are tortured, they are raped, and they're murdered, and that money that they have is being provided by people like her son Ibrahim, whereas there's literally nothing that I have ever done in my entire life that could have harmed one person, that could have given money to one terror group or one drug cartel or one person who could have done anything even remotely considered bad towards anyone ever in my life. Nothing that I could have said as a child. My immaturity, more than around a quarter of a century ago, literally 25 years ago, was when I was an 11-year-old child when the war started in 2001. A quarter of a century ago was when I was an 11-year-old child in 2001. Even back then, there's not one word that I could have said as an 11-year-old child in my immaturity that would have caused one person to be tortured like that, one person to be kidnapped like that, one person to be murdered like this, that her son is literally funneling money for every single day. There isn't one person that I could have funneled money for. There isn't one terror group that I could have funneled money for. There isn't one drug cartel that I could have funneled money for that could have committed these kinds of crimes, these kind of violent crimes that her son is literally funneling money for every other day. Nothing that I could have said, nothing that anyone around me could have said would have literally have had any effect on anyone's life, harmed anyone, kidnapped anyone, tortured anyone, murdered anyone, and yet her son is literally funneling money for this violence every other day by committing the illegal act of buying crystal methamphetamine, which is an illegal substance, something, a crime I've never committed in my entire life. I've been watched 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child. I have never bought street drugs my entire life. Not once in my entire life have I ever bought street drugs. There's no record of me ever buying street drugs ever in my entire life. Her son bought street drugs. He buys it every other day. He buys crystal methamphetamine. That money goes to drug cartels. We know this for a fact due to the fact that it's a stimulant that he overdoses on once a week and ends up in the emergency room. And this stimulant is supposed to cause high heart rate, and yet it's not, due to the fact that it's made by scientists to decrease its tolerance by taking out side groups from that drug so that its tolerance would be taken away, and adding other drugs to it so that it would take away the effect that it would have on a person's heart rate, so that they would continue taking it till it would cause so much euphoria that they would end up in the emergency room once a week. This is the violence that her son is causing, funneling money for every other day. And yet there isn't one instance of me ever doing anything in my entire life to be funneling money for anyone who could have committed these kinds of heinous crimes against innocent human beings who are not only taken out of their houses. People in South America are literally kicked out of their houses. They're displaced due to the violence from drug cartels, that the violence that they raise in those places that they have control over. And then after being displaced, these people are literally kidnapped by other drug cartels, and those drug cartels that kidnap them literally torture them, rape them, and then they end up murdering them. This is the violence that her son is literally fueling every other day when he buys crystal methamphetamine. Nothing that I could have said more than a quarter century ago, since I was an 11-year-old child in 2001. When the war occurred in 2001, it was a quarter century ago when I was an 11-year-old child. Nothing that I could have said as a child without even having the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child could have caused any violence, harm, done anything at all to any human being out there. And yet her son is fueling this violence by buying drugs every other day, overdosing on it, ending up in the emergency room at least once a week, something that I would never do. I've never once bought street drugs my entire life. There's no record of me buying any street drugs my entire life, despite being watched 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child. Any medication that I took, whether over the counter, under the counter, anything at all, not one instance of me ever overdosing on it throughout my entire life and ending up in the emergency room. Even that hyperactivity disorder medication that I took. I told my doctor about it as soon as I aged out, letting him know that, look, it causes dependency. You want to put it in your computer system so that no one could ever prescribe it to me ever again, only because I aged out of it and I understood that it was no longer needed and it's a medication that could cause dependency on people. I did that myself. If I had 1% chances or willpower or wanting to overdose or misuse it ever in my life, I would not have done it. And yet there's not one instance throughout my entire life overdosing on any drug and ending up in the emergency room, like how her son Ibrahim overdoses on crystal methamphetamine at least once a week and ends up in the emergency room at least once a week. We also know for a fact no one wants a drug addict to marry their daughter, and she was asking me on March 9th to marry her daughter, after looking through pictures of different girls to find a girl who would resemble her daughter as much as possible. She went through all these pictures of different girls out there to find a picture of a girl who would resemble her daughter as much as possible. And this is not something that you would do for a drug addict or a person that you think is aggressive, where you would go through all these pictures of different girls to try to find the one girl who would resemble your daughter the most, only due to extreme greed. No one does this for a drug addict, okay? This is March 9th, 11:44 a.m. No one does this for a drug addict. No one is ever going to go and find different pictures of different girls out there to find the one picture of the girl who would resemble their daughter the most so that they could advertise that girl to me all day long. 3 times on March 9th. That was also advertised on April 11th. That was also advertised last month on July 18, all day long on July 18. And there's absolutely nothing I did between July 18 and today that would make her think that I'm an aggressive person between July 18, since on July 18 last month, this mother and son did not think of me as being aggressive when they were greedily trying to get me to sign a Ponzi scheme prenup marriage agreement for their daughter on July 18 last month. And between July 18 and today's August 5th, there's nothing I did that would make me look or feel like someone who is aggressive or a drug addict in any way, shape, or form. They didn't think of me as being a drug addict on July 18 last month. All day long, they were advertising their daughter to me, and they cannot say that they think of me as being a drug addict or an aggressive person today, only less than a month ago, only because they know for a fact that I rejected their daughter and his sister's request again on July 18, and so they want to enviously make sure that no one likes me if I don't like their daughter or his sister, due to which they're trying to make up all these false rumors about me being a drug addict or things of that sort or nature. So yeah, this is basically only from July 18 that she was advertising her daughter to me once again. So these pictures of a girl that is supposed to be her daughter or Ibrahim's sister was being advertised to me all day July 18, which is last month. All day long, this was being advertised. She doesn't look anything like her daughter. I guess Ibrahim tried to look for her. The one that she found looked a lot like her daughter. The one that she found, I guess, on March 7th looked a lot like her daughter, but the one that Ibrahim found last month to send me for his Ponzi scheme did not look anything like her daughter or Ibrahim's sister at all. So this is the one that she found on March 9th that literally did look a lot like her daughter. Yeah, so there you go. There are the facts and evidences on these things that they're trying to say against me.